So it is a new week here, and I'm heading out. I've got some business travel this week. I'm going to be actually in Boston, New York City, and Pebble Beach at the end of the week. So it will be a long week. Not sure how much I'll be able to get done in the way of new videos, but I'm actually in the Demon, taking the vehicle into the Dodge dealership this morning. Unfortunately, this hood scoop thing continues to be a problem, and I'm going to see what the dealer says. I've got an awesome service manager there who has been in touch with Dodge, and want to see what he has to say about it. Let them take a look at it, because it's now starting to peel up my second wrap that I have. And so I want to see what they think the solution is going to be. I'm not sure if we'll have to make a piece for it or have something fabricated, or if somebody's going to come out with something that's, you know, carbon or at least more rigid and hardened plastic. What's in there right now seems like about an $8 part, but so we'll see. So stay tuned on that. Wanted to share a little bit with you guys about, I get people asking me all the time, you know, how'd you get this car? This is the Demon. How'd you get the Demon? How do you afford it? What does it cost you? And I don't want to be one of those guys doing the cliche video, but I'm doing the cliche video. So, so the vehicle that, you know, I've always been into cars. I've been a car flipper. You know, I've always kind of buy things and I've flipped them. Probably the last 10 years, I've probably owned 20 different cars, things that I would buy, drive for 6 months, and then get rid of them. And never had any really fast cars like the Dodge Demon, but when the car came out, I was really interested in it. Had wanted, you know, I was looking at exotic cars at one point, but really kind of gravitating more towards muscle cars, and just really liked the Dodge Demon a lot. But again, with all the hype and the limited production, wasn't sure if I'd be able to get my hands on one. I did not get one, you know, as I wasn't an original owner. So while this car is pretty new, I bought it with, I think, 100 miles on it from another couple who had bought the car. They live in Arizona. I'm in Chicagoland. And they had gotten the allocation. They had been working with their local dealer down in Arizona, and about a month after they put down the deposit on the vehicle, found out that they were pregnant. So they had to decide, I guess, which baby they were going to keep. Obviously, easy choice. They got rid of the car, and so it became available. At the time, I was flying back and forth to LA a little bit, and decided to take a trip, stop in Arizona on my way through back and forth to LA, and met with him, looked at the car, took it for a test drive, and ended up buying. So I bought it from a second party. It had 100 miles on it. I think he'd pretty much just taken delivery of the car and not done anything to it. He did buy the crate, which was kind of nice, so he had that already. It was in the garage when I bought the car. The only downside to that was that I had to pay to ship the crate back to Chicago. It couldn't travel with the car. I had the car shipped back from a car hauler, and then I had to pay a separate freight company to haul the crate back. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but you got to have it. You know, it's definitely worth having the crate. And so, what did I pay for the car, and you know, how does that compare to MSRP? So MSRP for this car, I've got the sticker. I'll share that if I can find it here, but I'll share that in the video. The sticker price on this car, I think it's $89, maybe $90 if you happen to get it from the dealership. But then you've got taxes, title, if you're lucky enough to get it for MSRP, which these days nobody's really buying this car for MSRP. We could sit and speculate to death around whether or not it's worth $105, $110, $120. Some people are trying to sell them for $150,000, $200,000 on eBay. You can list anything for sale for whatever you want. Doesn't mean it's going to sell, but it will be interesting to see now that the final Demon's rolled off the production line, you know, what the values, kind of what happens in the next couple months. In terms of basic economics, more and more people are taking delivery of their Demons, so they're starting to hit the street, which means people are seeing them, which is creating a lot of interest, which is driving some demand. but there's also more available, which is driving kind of supply up. And I think there's probably at any given time now, there's probably 25, 30 of these out on eBay that you can buy if you are willing to write a check. So anyways, going back at the time when I bought this, it was coming right out of winter. It was before a lot of these were in the market. It was before the market was as frothy as it is right now. And I ended up kind of negotiating back and forth with the guy. I did find the vehicle on eBay. I was looking for this color combination. I was looking for the Torrid Red. I was looking for the full interior. I was ideally looking for the subwoofer. Figured I could always take it out. But when you're cruising around with the family, and you know, that's the other thing too, is I did want to track this car a couple times just to have some fun with it. But you know, on a day-to-day basis, this will be a family car. This will be going to dinner with my wife and my son and hanging out, going to car shows, things like that. We are not going to be getting hardcore, I don't think, hardcore from a modification standpoint to try and break any world records. We're simply having fun with the car. We love the car, and do plan on enjoying it and driving it. I'm looking now, I'm at 1,700 miles roundabouts. We're going to be doing a rally with it to Nashville this year, Charlie and I and my wife. So all three of us are going to take the car from Chicago to Nashville in August. So that should be awesome. We'll be running with a lot of other even more amazing supercars, which will be really cool. So I paid for this vehicle was $111,000, and that is a lot of money for a car. And after a little bit of back and forth, he was asking more than that at the time. There were some of these cars selling for $120 on eBay that were actually selling, and so after some back and forth, after meeting him, after looking at the car, I offered $111,000 and he accepted. And so $111,000, again, a lot of money for a car. How does that break down? How do you pay for that? You know, what does that look like? You know, I would say first and foremost, you have to have good credit if you're going to finance it. I didn't necessarily want to pay cash for the car. Probably could have worked that out, but you know, figure that I'll keep my money in the bank and let it work for me and put it into investments and see if that money can make some can grow for me, you know, rather than putting it into a car and letting it sit. And so what's my real cost for this car? I mean, I pay a monthly payment just like anybody else does, but it's just a much bigger car payment. All right, sorry about that. Had to drop off some dry cleaning. So yeah, so I paid $111,000 for the car. I did not put any money down. My credit's pretty good. I've always paid my bills on time. I try to not get too overly leveraged in terms of what I owe versus what I make, and as a result, my credit is good. You know, a lot of the times people talk about down payments, and depending on your credit, depending upon your kind of your debt to income ratio, you may need to put down a down payment. Sometimes people, if they have a lot of negative equity, like they're trading in another car and they are upside down or owe a lot of money on that car, sometimes the bank will ask you to put down money to wipe out that negative equity. But aside from a situation like that, banks want to loan money. That's how they make money. So they want to loan you money, and car dealerships will tell you different things at times, but or finance managers, trying to get more money out of you, or trying to get you to come up with more money so they can borrow more money. But at the end of the day, car dealerships, or excuse me, banks want to finance, right? That's how banks make money, is giving loans. So if you've got good credit and you can pay your bills and you can afford the vehicle, then they'll give you the money for the car. So for me, I want to say, I think I financed this car. The interest rate was pretty low. I went through a local credit union. I think you pay $50 to have a kind of a membership or be a partner in the credit union, and you get access to really good interest rates. So the interest rate's low, something that I think, if I keep my money in the bank or in investments, I can beat the interest rate I'm paying on the car, so that'll be good. And but I think my payment on the Demon is around $1,400 a month, so $1,400 a month. That is a lot of money. I don't I don't take that lightly. So I know a lot of people probably, I know my first mortgage was $750 a month. So I get that that's a lot of money. One thing I will say though too is that when you buy the vehicle new, so people that bought the vehicle new, let's say they paid $90,000 for it, they paid tax, title, all that other stuff, which we all have to pay. Some of like dock fees and some of that can be negotiated, but then they also had to pay taxes on top of that, and we all have to pay taxes. The tax rate on a new car, and call it where I live, kind of northern Illinois, is probably, I think it's 7.5% on a new vehicle. So when you buy a new vehicle at a dealership, you pay 7.5%. Doing big round math, that's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about $8 grand in taxes, maybe even a little more than that. Yeah, probably like $8,500 in taxes if I were to have bought it from a dealership. So you take a $90,000 car plus all the fees, you're essentially at $100,000 already. When you buy a used vehicle, the used vehicle is not based, the taxes are not based upon the vehicle sale price, at least in Illinois. They're based upon the year of the vehicle. And the maximum that they can be for a car like this, don't hold me to that, maybe I'm wrong, but at least my research, the maximum you can pay for taxes on a used vehicle, even though it's a 2018 brand new expensive car, is $1,500. So the nice thing there is, even though I bought it used, I picked up a tax benefit that was less than what somebody else would have paid if they bought the car new. So that helped to close the gap a little bit. Since I had the vehicle, you know, other stuff that I've done to it, you know, definitely if you want to keep the car, maintain the car, you know, take care of it. I have invested already in the car a little bit. I bought a few sets of wheels, a few sets of tires. I've got Hoosier slicks on the car. I've got the front skinnies that I bought. Those were relatively inexpensive. They go on the wheels that came in the crate. And but I did buy a full-blown set of street tires and street wheels. So I got a set of 20-inch street tires and wheels sitting in my garage. I haven't put those on yet. They were ordered through my dealership, and because I need those when I do that rally in August, you can't be running the drag radials. I could be out in the middle of Indiana and it starts raining, and I will pretty much be grounded and won't be able to move. So the street tires gives us some more options. I don't like the wheel gap that you have on the stock tires. The Hoosiers really fill up the wheel wells great, but some of that you need. I know some people are bagging and lowering their cars, their Demons, but you know, the Demons, there's a lot went into the engineering around the trajectory of the launch and the way the car squats when it takes off, and I really don't want to mess with that. So I deal with some of the wheel gap on the stock tires, but it is what it is. So that's it. I'll do a similar review on the Ram and the Trackhawk. Those vehicles are both a little bit less money, so you can imagine they cost a little bit less on a monthly basis, but the basic mechanics are the same. You know, those vehicles, at least, they were Trackhawks are going a little less than MSRP. The Ram that I bought was a 2018, you know, mid 2018 here now, and so I got a great deal on that and didn't pay anywhere close to MSRP. The Trackhawk's a little bit closer, but a lot of those are coming into the market and they're just not as limited, so they'll be more flexible from a price standpoint. If anybody's interested in a great deal on a Jeep, let me know. I don't make commission or incentive off of it, but given I've bought a few vehicles from my local Jeep dealer, they treat me really well, they're nice, and I can connect you there, and I'm sure they will give you a great deal and treat you right as well. So other than that, what else did I put in the car? I put almost immediately after buying the car, I found this company called Luminescent Detailing. I think they're on Instagram as Lumi Detailing, or I think it's Lumid Detailing or Lumi Detailing. I'll put the link below or in the video. They are awesome. Guy Frank over there runs it. He does really high-end work. He's certified on Ceramic Pro, certified on Expel, and we essentially put an entire clear bra on the car. We did a black wrap vinyl on the hood just because I like that look, and and we did Ceramic Pro and XPEL. So we got that on the entire car. The entire car's coated. Some would argue that's maybe a little bit overkill, but you know, you can peel that off at any time if you don't want it or don't like it. And I wanted to really protect the finish of the car. I also, with the drag racing, didn't want to have to deal with rock chips and things like that from the track, or you know, rubber flying up. And so a lot of people will tape off their fenders. I don't have to do that because we've got the clear coat. I think it's like an 8mm clear coat, and it actually really locks in and makes the color of the car look really deep too. So really like the looks of it as well. So far, knock on wood, haven't had any dents or dings on the car. And with the XPEL and the ceramic coat, the water just runs off of it, so the car is you know, very easy to keep clean. Gets a little dusty sometimes, but very easy to keep clean. So that's it. We will see. You know, my plans right now are to keep the car, and you know, if I drive the car for a year or two, or keep it forever and hand it down to my son, you know, we'll see. I truly believe that this car is not going to lose a lot of value so long as I keep the miles reasonable. I think there will always be a buyer for it. I think probably a worst case scenario is I drive the car for you know, a couple years, put 15,000 miles on it, and you know, sell it for MSRP or slightly under MSRP. That would be my guess or my speculation, but I could be wrong, and don't want to fight or argue with anybody about it. That's just my opinion. If you have a different opinion, would love to hear it. But I think the reality is we just don't know. We don't know what these cars are going to do. There's a lot of chatter, right, around, you know, the next vehicle. The next vehicle is always coming, and the next vehicle is going to make the Demon less relevant. You know, we'll see. It is a limited one and done year car. Dodge has said that over and over again, and so I believe them. They might use, you know, people saying, oh, they're going to use the Demon engine in another car, or they're going to put a Hellcat engine in, or whatever. They very well may, but you know, the Demon for 2018 was still a limited production car, 3,300 made. Some of those have been in accidents already. Some of them, I think they said there was something like 5 or so, maybe even up to 15 that they didn't produce, or they froze the VIN numbers on. So I'm not sure the actual final street count, but you know, it's definitely a limited production car. And so we'll see. Worst case scenario, it's, you know, I'm having fun with it for a few years. You know, what's my cost of ownership aside from gas and things like that? You know, it's the $1,400 a month that I pay for the car. So I'm at a point now where, you know, I want to have fun. I've saved up some money. I've done okay, worked hard, gone to school, had good jobs, did my best, and want to use some of that money and enjoy it while I'm still living. So living is living. But so anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see here, please consider subscribing. Click a like, leave a comment. Love to hear from you, and more videos coming soon. Have a good one.